Okay, before we get to the questions from the people who wrote in, would you like to respond, Steve, to that editorial about Ayn Rand and libertarianism?
Look, I mean, when I first met you, the first thing you told me is I'm a libertarian.
That's what I addressed.
I know, I'm so disappointed you left the flock.
But what about FEMA? I didn't make that up. Ron Paul doesn't believe in FEMA.
Look, I don't agree with everything that Ron Paul believes in, but I do think our government is
so then you're with me. You're a
way
libertarian who doesn't believe in all the bullshit that these other
I don't believe in everything. Do you believe in everything that liberals say, or do you believe in everything that socialists say? I mean, no. So don't just criticize the whole movement.
But I think the majority of the country is actually libertarian. That mindset of, I do believe, maybe you're kind of a socialist, so you wouldn't be in that mindset, right?
Well, America's socialist. The two most popular programs in America are Social Security and Medicare, and that's socialism.
Yes, but Bill, my point is...
So America's socialist.
This is the point of my book. Why is America the wealthiest country in the history of the world? Because we are a system that was based on the free enterprise system.
America, first of all, for the middle class and working class of this country, America is not the wealthiest country in the history of the world.
It was
in America today, and this is an important point that we don't talk about enough, Bill. In America today, we have the most unequal distribution of wealth and income of any major country on earth. You got the top 1% owning 38% of the wealth. The bottom 60% own 2.3% of the wealth. That is immoral, that's wrong, and that is bad economics.
Okay. Let us move on to the questions that people have wrote in. Stuart R. asks you, Zach, what do you think will happen with the North Carolina effort to subvert the First Amendment by introducing a bill, oh yes, I read about this, to declare an official state religion? And oddly, I understand that religion is Islam. I did not know that in North Carolina.
It's like the pre-Civil War era.
Yeah, and so luckily that seems to have been tabled. Luckily. But it says something that all these bills keep getting introduced, like the creationism, just the First Amendment doesn't apply to us. There's a bill in Louisiana to basically put the Lord's Prayer in the schools now. It's just all these bills keep happening. It's against the separation of church and state. It's unconstitutional.
It's so ironic that these are probably the people with the tea bags hanging off their head because they're such strict constitutionalists.
Yes, that's true.
That they want a state religion.
It's asking for a huge court case, though.
You know, they still have segregated proms.
Yes, I saw that too recently.
Interesting fact.
I saw that too, yes. Okay. What is the one surprising political lesson you've learned by taking a stand against teaching creationism?
That you can always say and do the right thing, and there's always a right answer. That we shouldn't be teaching creationism, and I can be brave and stand up and say that.
Let me just add, we need a few million more young people like this young man.
Oh, yes, we do.
Thank you, Johnny.
And let me just add, we're not going to get them. Why does America take the possibility of a nuclear Iran so seriously, while in comparison seeming to take the reality of a nuclear North Korea not so seriously? You have any thoughts on that?
You're looking at me?
Yeah, I'm looking at you.
I think partly because Iran is in the middle of a very, very volatile part of the world, and North Korea is kind of off in its own corner.
And could I also mention that North Korea is a stunted state, is probably the saddest, sickest state in the world, and Iran is not.
No,
Iran
it's not.
could do something.
They're really staying afloat because of China. And we talk about North Korea, we're really talking about our relationship with China.
That's correct.
And North Korea is very much acting like an irrational child. I mean, they play this game of manipulation. And I actually commend the White House for the way they've handled it, because they have not been willing to play their games. They're not giving them the attention that they're wanting to get. So ultimately, I think they're handling it just right.
Either of these countries having a nuclear bomb is the greatest danger to the planet in 50 years. I mean, these are incredibly unstable governments with wackos running them. It's a really, really scary situation.
May I say that? It's very refreshing to hear a Republican give some credit to the White House for anything they ever do. Because, I mean, they so often work backwards from whatever Obama just did is the worst thing that ever happened.
But Bill,
I mean,
hold on.
Newt Gingrich was against...
But liberals did the exact same thing when it came to George W. Bush.
No, they didn't.
They did too.
No.
If Bush did it, it must be wrong.
No, just that most of what Bush did was wrong.
Well, most of what Barack Obama did was wrong.
No, it's not. especially in foreign affairs. Newt Gingrich was all about, we have to bomb Libya, we have to bomb Libya. The second Obama bombed Libya, how dare we bomb Libya?
Yeah. And I think in terms of the Bush administration, you have a tragedy because you have a guy who's actually a fairly nice guy. just happened to be the worst president in the modern history of America. And I don't say that with pride. I'm chairman of the Veterans Committee, and I'm here in LA today visiting some VA facilities. We are looking, forget for a moment the 4,500 guys who died and women who died and the cost of the war. We're looking at tens and tens of thousands of brave, good people coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan with post-traumatic stress disorder and traumatic brain injury. That is a war we should never have gotten into.
And so many of them,
the cost is so horrible.
If what I read in the paper lately is true, so many of them can't get the help they need.
No,
there's a giant backlog.
No. Be careful about that one, Bill. Here's the story. We have a serious problem in processing claims.
Right.
And we're working hard on that. But in terms of healthcare, nope. In terms of healthcare, the VA has a very strong system. Anybody can walk in the door and get treated.
I read it was like a 273-day wait. Okay.
For claims.
For claims.
But not for health.
Okay,
That's
but
bad.
if you're a person
right.
living on the knife's edge and you need that 273 days, you don't care what the...
Absolutely correct. And we're working to transform that system. You're right. But in terms of healthcare,
that should be our first priority, frankly.
Should be a major priority, and we are putting money into it, and we are transforming.
Total agreement on the panel.
We're going away from paper into paperless. But in terms of healthcare, veterans should know, if you served in Iraq and Afghanistan, 5 years of free healthcare, walk in the door, get the VA healthcare you need.
Okay. Final question for Sebastian. As someone who has made his living documenting war, what is your stance on the gun control debate?
Oh, God. It seems like nobody's happy, and we have to keep talking till we have an agreement. I mean, this isn't working for anybody, clearly. So,
well, we saw this week Connecticut passed a law. I mean,
the strictest gun law in the country.
Will it change anything?
I hope so.
Didn't they already have the strictest gun laws in the country before? I mean,
but will it change anything?
I think it will.
I mean, I don't know.
It's the will of the people for it to change.
You know, this is one area where I say, you know, the Democrats are almost as guilty, and they.
But that's because there were a lot of times it goes back to getting reelected. You know this. I mean, in their constituency, we see 91% want stricter background checks. But frankly, those that vote in the primaries, those that actually get these people elected, aren't in line with where the rest of the country is, and that's a problem.
But, you know, I mean, the Republicans, I don't agree with what they say about it, but the Democrats, in a way, it's harder to listen to because I think it's such bullshit. You know, the way they pound their fists. If we only had this law, well, you know, I hear them say, because this nut killed 26 people at the school in 5 minutes. And if he didn't have a Bushmaster, really, you can't kill 26 people in 5 minutes if you had 3 other guns or... I mean, the 2,000 other guns they don't want to make illegal. Come on.
Let's just have some courage to do it.
Let's have some courage to say the Second Amendment is antiquated. We should just take a page 1 rewrite on that shit.
Let me say this. I certainly agree that we've got to move forward on gun control. But maybe the more important issue is we got millions of folks walking the streets who are in need of mental health.
That's for
and
sure.
they can't walk into a place to get it. And that's a real...
This is the NRA talking point.
Well,
I'm not saying it's wrong, but I'm just saying that's what they say.
Look, I can tell you in my office, and I think every senator will tell you, people call up and they say, you know, my brother, I'm really worried about him. I don't know what he's going to do to himself. I don't know what he's going to do to somebody else. He needs help. We can't find the help.
Or we can't afford the help.
Or we can't afford the help. That's going on all over the country. We've got to address that issue of mental health and primary health care in general.
Stay safe, everybody.
Real Time with Bill Maher, Friday night at 10. Ask Bill and his guests your questions right after the show at HBO.com.